Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Montgomery Township Board of Supervisors meeting for April 13th, 2026. My name is Tanya Bamford, and I am the chair of the Board of Supervisors. On behalf of my colleagues here on the board, welcome. Welcome to all those who are here, and I just want to also say welcome to all who are watching at home. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First agenda item is announcements. It's National Work Zone Awareness Week. And that is, well, actually, technically, it's April 20th through the 24th. This week serves as an important reminder that our public works employees and contracted crews are out every week working just feet from traffic to keep Montgomery Township running smoothly. Your attentiveness behind the wheel can save lives. We ask all drivers to obey reduced speed limits in work zones, avoid sudden lane changes, watch for flaggers, and follow their signals, and remain patient. While delays can be frustrating, protecting those working on our roadways is a top priority, and we urge everyone to do their part to keep our work zone safe. Next, Montgomery Township is proud to celebrate America 250, the nationwide commemoration of the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence in 1776. That's why this year, our Stars, Stripes, and Remembrance event is being renamed Memorial Day Weekend Kickoff America 250. This free event will be held on Friday, May 22nd, 2026 from 5 to 9 p.m. in William F. Mall Park at Windlestray. Key highlights of the event include food and drink vendors, bounce houses, touch-a-truck, live music, face painting, balloon twisting, crafts and interactive activities, and a fireworks show at approximately 8:45 p.m. Additional information about the event will be posted on Facebook and Instagram and updated on our website at monttwp.org/America250. And now we have a couple more announcements from Vice Chair Staub.
Hello, everyone. I'm also the chair of I am the liaison to the Environmental Advisory Committee, and we have a lot of really important events coming up this month, being Earth Day, coming up on the 22nd. And I know that probably people have been starting to venture into their garages and into their gardens after a long, cold winter. And you may find that you need to recycle some things. Electronic recycling is best not to put in the trash because of obviously that contamination it can do for our soil and water. And we have a recycling day on this coming Saturday on the 18th. It will be at the Windlestray Park from 9 to 12. They do have a timed entry. So if you go onto our website, you can get a time, and that way that will limit the number of cars that are in line at any given time. So it's a timed entry. And as an extra bonus this year, PICO is giving usually there's a $10 fee to assist in the cost of the recycling for microwaves, dehumidifiers, and room air conditioners. And PICO has stepped forward to waive those fees that usually is $10. There still will be small fees for computer monitors and televisions of $30, and then the big wooden console or projection TVs it's a $100 fee. But that just covers the cost of the recycling. So that's coming up this Saturday. And then we have coming up on the following Saturday, the 25th of April, we have our Arbor Day tree giveaway, which will take place right here outside here at Gazebo Park between 9 and noon. This is the Roy Rodriguez Arbor Day tree giveaway. I do recommend getting there early because the trees go fast. These are a variety of trees are available. You can look on their website. I won't, but they are native. But I will put them. I won't list them all here. But certain trees go really fast. So if you want that, get there early. And then starting, we also have a whole afternoon of events for families to enjoy, which include Spring Valley Park cleanup starting at 1:30 p.m. We're going to be meeting at the basketball courts, which is just off of Upper State Road. And we'll have a cleanup there for about an hour or so, but please bring your garden gloves and wear some bug spray and tick protection and sunscreen if it's sunny. And then at 2:30, we are going to do a demo of a native pollinator garden. There's been a lot of information and hopes that we can start doing less lawns and grass and more gardens for pollinators. And so to transition those things, we're actually doing a little demo garden outside the rec center. So what you do to kill the grass without hurting anybody is to just lay down cardboard, recycled cardboard, and then putting some mulch on top of that. And believe it or not, it will all decompose into itself and it will serve as the garden bed. So then in the middle of May, we'll plant some native plants, and then the pollinators will come hopefully this summer and fall, and you'll enjoy seeing that garden emerge over the next time. But we'll be doing a demo on how to do this in your own yard at 2:30 on Saturday. Then at 3:00, we'll go inside. We're going to have a movie called The Extraordinary Caterpillar, which is a free movie event for families to enjoy. It's a 1-hour movie, so but it's free to attend. And then at 4:00 after the movie, we will have a movie discussion and have a eco-friendly craft for families. So we have a lot of fun events coming up for the family forward to celebrate Earth Day and hopefully improve our ecosystem here in Montgomery Township. So please see the websites for more information, and hopefully we'll see you there.
Thank you, Supervisor Stout. All right, moving on to public comment. Any persons wishing to make public comment during this meeting on any items not listed on the agenda may do so at this time. Please come forward to the microphone and state your name and whether you are a township resident or business owner. Anyone here for public comment? Okay, moving on to the announcement of executive session.
Yes,
Solicitor
thank you
Kilkenny.
very much, Chair Manfred. The Board of Supervisors met in executive session this evening at 6:30 p.m. to discuss matters of personnel. This was an exemption and covered and compliant with the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act. Thank you.
Thank you, Solicitor Kilkenny. Moving on to our consent agenda. I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented for the following: the minutes of the March 23rd, 2026 Board of Supervisors meeting, payment of bills for April 13th, 2026, and escrow release number 1, the Take 5 oil change at 737 Bethlehem Pike.
Second.
Any public comment? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to agenda item 7, recognition of National Library Week. So I'll just go ahead and do this introduction, and then I can invite Jennifer Koch from the director of the North Wales Area Library up to say a few words. But Jennifer is with us tonight to receive the township's resolution recognizing National Library Week from myself and all of my board colleagues in honor of the North Wales Area Library. So Jennifer, would you like to come forward, or and Aaron too? It should be on. It's green, right? Yeah, it's green. Okay.
Hi, thank you for having us. I'm going to let Aaron start first. No. Up there. Good evening. Hello, friends of the library. I'm the Assistant Director at the North Wales Area Library, and I am thrilled to share some of the exciting developments in our children's programming. When I first joined the library, we only had 2 story times for our community. Recognizing the demand for increased educational opportunities, we broadened our programs and outreach, all provided at no cost to our community. I also want to recognize our amazing Children's and Youth Coordinator, Nicole Skinner, who has an education degree and master's with 15 years of experience. She handles most of the children's program with energy, experience, and efficiency. We introduced an additional story time called Sprouts, thanks to our director, Jennifer, who had the idea. A few years ago, I also launched a kindergarten prep program to help children without preschool experience get ready for kindergarten, and it has grown significantly. We also offer toddler movement, toddler art, and toddler sing, which promote exercise, music, and art in an inclusive environment for children of all abilities. Additionally, we host a monthly movie and picnic for our little friends, providing take-home crafts and library books for exploration. We even have parenting cafes and workshops for parents and guardians. For our elementary aged friends, we have a variety of engaging programs like Python coding, Java coding, Girls Who Code, AI programs, and One in Math, taught by our talented North Penn High School students who excel in math, engineering, and science. We also offer a financial literacy penny saver program and architect story time during our Bring Your Child to the Library Day held in partnership with the North Penn School District. We welcomed over 80 children. We offer set times for Lego Club and maker spaces, along with weekly scavenger hunts and reading sessions with the Seeing Eye Dog. Our homeschool programs are expanding as well, including homeschool lunch brunch and homeschool STEM. Connecting with teens can be challenging as they lead busy lives, but we found success in offering them leadership opportunities. Our offerings include Teen Advisory Board, Junior Friends at the Library, teen volunteer programs, and teen teaching opportunities. We host Power of the Pen, a monthly writing and art workshop, along with escape rooms and laser tag events, which the teens thoroughly enjoy. We have up to 20 teens playing laser tag in the library. We also offer seasonal events like movie nights and bedazzle nights for our teens. Our goal is to expand our teen population at the library and to establish a secure and enjoyable environment tailored for this age group. We are nearing completion of our teen section, which has received a lot of positive feedback. It's essential for teens to have their own space, and we hope that the North Wales Area Library will be able to fulfill that need for our young community members. And then finally, we offer numerous family-friendly intergenerational events at the library, including family bingo, seasonal holiday celebrations with visits from Santa and the Easter Bunny, and an art gallery featuring work from the North Penn School District students. We also host cultural events and community festivals. Our summer program festival kickoff on June 20th with a foam party. We invite you to join us and discover all that we have to offer for our children. Thank you.
Thank
I
you,
also
Erin.
play mini golf in the library. It's very stressful. Good evening, and thank you for having us here tonight. What's worth more, a building full of books or a community hub that offers free internet to job seekers? Safe after-school spaces for teens, sensory-friendly programs for children with special needs, and a quiet sanctuary for adults seeking peace. The answer is a library is all of these things, and Montgomery Township has been a part of making that possible. As we come upon National Library Week, I'm thrilled to be here to celebrate something truly special, the partnership between Montgomery Township and North Wales Area Library. You represent the second largest population of our patrons, and over the past 2 years, we've built something remarkable together. Your community doesn't just use our library. You've embraced it, supported it, and helped it thrive. Let me share what support has made possible. Right now, 5,630 of your neighbors hold library cards with us. This year alone, thanks to grant funding, we're transforming our space. Upgraded children's, teens, and adult sections, brand new flooring throughout the building at the end of April, and a fresh, welcoming environment that serves everyone from toddlers to seniors. In 2025, we secured the DCED grant to upgrade our geothermal HVAC system and the Chester County Community Herb Grant to make our children's and teen areas more inclusive and sensory friendly. This year, the VNA Foundation awarded us $6,000 to complete painting our main area and create an adult section that's truly a sanctuary, a place to escape, relax and unwind with a good book, or find a perfect study spot. We're also perusing funding for a strategic plan to guide our future growth and for new shelving that will help us reclaim 400 square feet of space for additional children's programming. Every improvement we make is designed with your community in mind. Tonight, I want to thank you for taking our partnership to the next. Tonight, I want to talk to you about taking our partnership to the next level. We'd like to invite Montgomery Township to officially designate North Wales Area Library as your library. Here's what we recently learned. It's simpler than we thought. It takes just one letter from your township supervisor expressing an interest in doing so to our board of directors. Our board would review this and vote to accept. Once accepted, we submit both documents to the Montgomery County District Consultant, and then the process moves forward from there. We know that there's one concern, and that would be the bookmobile. We're already looking and working on solutions, a potential book delivery system, or even a satellite location that would be located here in Montgomery Township. We're committed to ensuring that no one loses access to the library. Imagine what official designation could mean: a stronger voice in shaping library services, deeper collaboration on our programs, and a formal recognition of what's already true. Montgomery Township and North Wales Area Library belong together. It takes a village to make a library succeed, and Montgomery Township is already a vital part of ours. We're asking you to make it official. Send us that letter. Let's build the future of library services together. Thank you for your continued support, your trust, and your partnership. We can't wait to see you at the library soon and welcome you as our official partner. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions from the board? Well, for full transparency, I serve as the board president for the North Wales Area Library. So this is a gem of an institution in our community, and I'm very proud of the township's support and all the support that we've provided to the library to date.
I just wanted to add, I am so impressed by what you do. I didn't realize how many services were available, and now that I've discovered this little library, I'm so impressed by that. The one thing I think that is a barrier for people in Montgomery Township to understand that this is their library, and that it's there and it's accessible and free, is that it's named the North Wales Area Library. So I know that there's been some, is there a consideration underway of rebranding?
Part of what we are looking at is rebranding the library. We are looking to put that strategic plan in operation to work with a provider who can help us recognize that. We have talked about this since as early as when I started 2 years ago. And it just, yes, we are the North Penn area library, really, when it comes down to it. But we will be looking at that as a collective to make those decisions, because we do agree.
It's confusing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what's interesting to note is that it's actually designated within the bylaws of the library that they serve the North Penn School District. So all the municipalities in the North Penn School District. But, back when they actually named, the institution, they didn't use North Penn. They opted for North Wales, which is, where they're officially located in North Wales Borough.
Many of our businesses do the same thing. Even if they're in Montgomery Township, they still think they're in North Wales, so, or Lansdale.
But our hope is to make that connection with Montgomery Township official, as we did with Upper Gwynedd, and we do with North Wales, obviously being in North Wales. And then, yes, looking at the rebranding, because there's a broader perspective there that needs to be considered.
Any other questions from the board? Well, we have a motion here that we want to adopt, and then also there's a proclamation that we'd like to present you with. But let's take care of the business first. I will move to adopt Resolution 2026-06, recognizing National Library Week and celebrating the value of community libraries. Any public comment? All those in favor say aye. Aye. And now, of course, we have a proclamation, which I feel as if, it warrants reading. A resolution of the Board of Supervisors of Montgomery Township recognizing National Library Week and celebrating the value of community libraries. Whereas community libraries serve as essential institutions that provide free and equitable access to knowledge, information, technology, and lifelong learning opportunities for people of all ages. And whereas libraries support literacy, education, workforce development, and civic engagement by offering books, digital resources, educational programming, and public spaces for collaboration and learning. And whereas community libraries play a vital role in strengthening neighborhoods by providing welcoming and inclusive spaces that connect residents, foster creativity, and promote cultural understanding. And whereas American Library Association sponsors National Library Week each year to celebrate libraries, recognize the contributions of library workers, and highlight the important role libraries play in transforming lives and strengthening communities. And whereas during National Library Week, communities across the nation are encouraged to visit their local libraries, explore the wide range of services offered, and recognize libraries as cornerstones of democracy and access to information. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Montgomery Township Board of Supervisors hereby recognizes April 19th through April 25th as National Library Week and commends the North Wales Area Library for its ongoing commitment to education, literacy, and public service. Be it further resolved that the Montgomery Township Board of Supervisors encourages residents to visit, support, and celebrate the North Wales Area Library and to acknowledge the vital contributions of librarians, library staff, volunteers, and supporters who make this institution possible. So I'm just going to say thank you for all that you do for our community. The proclamation. You guys want to come up in front of here? The board, would the board like to?
Yeah. We love libraries.
Yeah, you are both.
Is there a camera?
Oh,
That's right.
I'm looking for that.
you're looking for me.
No more. 1, 2. Thank you.
Next, we have another presentation on Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Carolyn McCreary, Township Manager.
Good evening. Erin Milborn, Director of Services Supervisors for the Victim Services Center of Montgomery County, is attending tonight's meeting to provide information about this organization and to bring sexual assault awareness to the public's attention. Erin?
Good evening, everybody. Oh, there we go. Thanks, Chief. So good evening. My name's Erin, and I'm from Victim Services Center, and I'm here tonight to talk a little bit about Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And just to kind of put it in perspective, because people often think that doesn't happen here, a sexual assault occurs every 68 seconds in the US. So 1 in 2 women are impacted by sexual violence and 1 in 3 men. So this is an epidemic that my agency seeks to provide education to the community because we believe in prevention. but also to provide direct services to those impacted. So I'll talk a little bit tonight about services. And if we can get going. Okay. So the crimes that we assist with is certainly any sexual assault of any child and adult, but also we extend to every other type of crime. Everything except for domestic violence. We have great partners, Laurel House and Women's Center, that serve and support DV survivors. But we're seeing every other crime across the county. And some of our services, we do have a 24-hour hotline that's utilized by Montgomery County residents across all of the townships. We get about 1,200 calls a year, and those calls can be crisis, people that have just been impacted by some sort of violent act, family members looking for service, law enforcement looking for advocacy, and our local hospitals looking for advocates to come support victims in the hospital. A few other services we do provide is hospital accompaniments. And if you can imagine a man, a woman, we see elderly folks, we see children, teens. If they arrive at one of our hospitals, the ER will call us because the medical is there. But we also have to support their emotional well-being. We have to support the victim who's at the hospital, informing them of rights, informing them of services, supporting family members because they also need the support as well. Abington is probably the hospital we get called out to the most, but certainly we are across the county. We are very busy. The number is probably accurate per year, around 70, between 70 and 80, and that's just Montgomery County residents being impacted by sexual violence. The other thing that we do at no cost for survivors and their family is we do free therapy services for children as young as 5. And we also see the oldest client that I've ever seen was 95 years old, impacted by crime, impacted by sexual violence, by robbery, homicide. And they don't need to have reported the crime to receive services. So if you were impacted when you were a child and you're now 50, 60 years old and being, let's say, triggered by news, they can call us and get free service. We see folks at our Norristown location, but we also come to community folks. We can do virtual therapy. And again, it's free and confidential. So we try to eradicate every barrier, no insurance needed. We use interpreters for any of our folks because we believe language should not be a barrier for treatment. I think it's important just to acknowledge parents, caregivers, and supporters in the room because they often are forgotten, right? And so we, as victim services, we provide free therapy for those folks. And so this was a comment from a mother whose son was sexually abused, and she just wanted to share a comment. VSC helped me tremendously, and I would recommend them to someone highly. My counselor got me through a confusing and painful time, and I'm very grateful for VSC. So I share that because I think we truly believe that if we can support the supporters, right, the significant others, then that survivor healing looks a lot better for them. The other things we do is we help with victim advocacy, and that's where we partner with law enforcement agencies across the county. We do, if a victim needs to report, and let's say they're afraid for a variety of reasons, we can go with them to our police departments and provide support while a victim is making a report to law enforcement. We attend any and all criminal hearings with folks. We get referrals from our 50 plus police departments, including our very own here, which I'll give you a snapshot. And the other thing I should mention is we are next week across the street at the rec center. This is our second year there. Floyd has been amazing. I will shout him out, but we will be doing our annual homicide planting event. So families across the county who've been impacted by homicide, we do a planting and an art healing event for kids and families impacted. So we will be across the street next week, Thursday at 5:30. So please share if you know anyone that could benefit from sort of a community healing event. The other thing we assist with is protection orders. So we've probably all heard about PFAs. There are 2 other protection orders that many times people forget about. One is a sexual violence protection order. That's for those folks that were sexually assaulted by a date or by someone that they work with. It sort of falls outside of the normal realm of a PFA. We can help folks file for those civil protection orders as well as a PFI, which is protection from intimidation. in a nutshell, that is if a child is being harassed or threatened by an adult, right? So there's an array of civil resources that we can help folks with, file across the street in Norristown. We can help them if they need to come into Norristown and make a report. The other thing that's really important is we believe that prevention is possible, right? We believe that if we can get to our children and our young folks, that hopefully people won't have to come and see me in the aftermath. So our educators are busy. They are at all of our schools across the county. They provided about 8,000 children and adults with prevention programs last year: body safety, bystander intervention, consent, bullying, harassment. So they are in your local schools as well. So we want to support them. An eighth grader had a great comment. I liked how it gave lots of help. I like this because it could actually save lives and it could help in a situation like a victim one. So we are grateful for our students. And then to kind of bring it back home to right here in this township. So in the last year, the last 2 years, we served about 100 individuals right here in your township. And so when I took a snapshot of that 100 individuals, some of the crimes in which they reached out to us for was ID theft is a big one, burglary, assaults, robberies, sexual assaults, and sexual harassment. So these are your neighbors that are receiving services. We've worked really hard with the police department, and we've got about 40 referrals last year. Now we've gotten a few in the last 2 weeks, but that's a really good way that police departments can work with us. The earlier the referral, the more likely that victims are going to get ongoing support and care. So we really are grateful for those partnerships and the trust that they have in us. So we are all around the community, but I wanted to leave some information, and I put some at everybody's desk, but also you can check out our website, victimservicescenter.org, for more information or how to access services. Any questions?
Are you seeing an uptick in people who have been triggered by the news, especially as it relates to,
The Epstein?
the Epstein files?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Usually anything like that. Sandusky was a big one for
Yeah.
us. Cosby was a big one. This is a big one. Yes. So usually it ebbs and flows, but people will call and they may now identify themselves, and it may have been, hey, I watched the news and I wanted to call. So we're glad they're reaching out, but
Yeah, it's great that you're there as a resource. And then there was one other just follow-up question from me. The sexual violence protection order, how does that differ from a PFA?
Yep. So PFA there's a certain relationship required. So it has to be familial, or it needs to be someone with a prior sexual history. So a husband, wife, paramour. The sexual violence protection order catches those people that don't fall in it. So let's say you go on a college kid goes on a date. They never had a relationship with this person before and they're assaulted. They wouldn't have qualified for that PFA, but they do qualify for this. It could be if we've helped a lot of folks, if it's an employer, if it's someone they work with, if it is a coach, something like that. It just kind of is a catch-all for the other folks that don't qualify.
Any other questions from the board?
How long are one of those in place?
3 years if granted. Yes.
It's one of those things you hope you never have to understand or be aware of, but good to be aware of all the same.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for all the wonderful work that you do.
Thank you for having me.
And we appreciate you coming out and giving us this presentation.
Of course.
Are these pins for?
Yes, I have teal ribbons. So teal is the color of sexual assault awareness. So I'm going to leave a few if you'd like to wear one, snap a photo, please feel free.
Yes.
And I put some materials at your table too, English and Spanish, but you are welcome to reach out if you could ever use more.
Thank you, Erin.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, moving on in our agenda to item number 9, the Mitzvah Circle Conceptual Land Development Plan. Carolyn McCreary, Township Manager.
Township staff met virtually on February 18th with Fran Held, founder and executive director of Mitzvah Circle, accompanied by Amy Farrell Esquire, to share the proposed plans and discuss the potential text amendment associated with it. This property is located at 435 Doylestown Road and is an R5 residential zoning district. And included in your packet is the zoning hearing board's decision related to this property from 2023. Good evening.
Good evening. As usual, Carolyn did half my work for me, so this will be a lot faster. I'm Amy Farrell with Captain Stewart. I think as you'll recall, we were before you a couple years ago in connection with Mitzvah Circle purchasing 435 Doylestown Road, which of course was formerly Country Furniture and more recently than that, Keystone Homebrew. And as you, I'm sure, remember, and as Carolyn said, this property is zoned R5, so it has always been a non-conforming use. There's been some kind of warehouse related operations, wholesale, et cetera, operating there since like 1925 or 29, something like that. However, has consistently been zoned R5. So anytime that any activity or modifications were required as to that property, it was always handled through a special exception because your ordinance allows for a change from one conforming use to another non-conforming use as long as those non-conforming uses are relatively consistent with each other. So historically, we've been able to sort of move this property into conformance for Mitzvah through that special exception process. Once Mitzvah purchased and began operations, they did a couple of things, some minor interior modifications to make the facility work more appropriately for them. But more significantly, they did all of that deferred land development work that Keystone had approved and had not completed. So Mitzvah really did a lot of on-site work to finalize the stormwater, pave the parking space, parking areas, complete the landscaping, etc. Unfortunately, there was a fire, which I think you're all generally aware of, in one of the outbuildings on the property. And in the process of trying to decide sort of how to address that, the Mitzvah board determined that it would be more appropriate to accelerate what was originally a longer term capital improvement project, and to bring that into the mix sort of faster than they had originally anticipated. So that's what we're really here tonight to talk to you about. They have purchased 2 adjoining parcels, and we'll go through that in a little more detail in a moment. That does change the dynamic relative to the zoning because it's not as simple as just asking for that special exception to allow a change from one non-conforming use to another, because those 2 adjoining properties, although also zoned R5, have not historically been used for a non-conforming use. So if we were to proceed through a traditional zoning process here, we would have to get variances to expand onto those parcels. So one of the things that we spoke with staff about when we met, as Carolyn indicated, was whether it made some sense to look at either text or map amendments or both in the context of the proposal. And again, we're not here tonight on any formal application. We have not submitted anything yet, not asking for any decision from you this evening, but we did want to kind of walk you through what the proposal is, and then take a look at what we've looked at so far in terms of possibilities around the zoning specifically, so that you can kind of chew on that for a bit and think through whether or not text and or map amendments are something that you would be inclined to pursue. That will help us sort of decide how we frame this in terms of the type of application that has to be brought. So we do have a full team with us this evening. I promise we're not going to go through a 2-hour. It's not going to be, there's a lot of us, but we're all going to keep it fairly short. We do have Fran Held, who I think you all know, the executive director of Mitzvah. We also have behind me Jeremy Mazars with Chester Valley Engineering. He's the civil engineer for the project. Also back over my left shoulder is Brian Keaveney with Pannoni, the traffic engineer for the project. And immediately to my right is Matt Heckendorn, who's with HSA Architects, and they really have been kind of spearheading the initial thought and design around what this might look like. So I'm going to ask Matt to walk you through a little bit of what's proposed here. And then we have a couple of additional slides we'll flip back to me relative to zoning. And then, of course, happy to answer any other questions you have.
Good evening. Just as a refresher, in terms of the existing site configuration, what this drawing depicts is the intersection of Montgomery Avenue and Doylestown Road. This is the existing Mitzvah Circle building, the interior parking, some of the existing ancillary structures. This is the structure that had experienced the fire previously. Outlined in red is essentially the 2 additional lots. So The additional parcels kind of stack essentially planned south along Doylestown Road. These are some photos of the existing site. So these are interior photos shown essentially planned south looking north at that interior parking area at the existing loading dock area. And this is a existing structure referred to as the annex. This is that structure that experienced the fire previously. Essentially the typical elevation, sort of the public way at the corner of the existing Mitzvah Circle building. Some addition, this is the view kind of further up Montgomery Avenue. I should note that some of these photos are older. We worked with Mitzvah Circle in their phase one on their initial occupancy. And there's also a current project to address some of the exteriors and clean up some of the maintenance items that weren't able to be part of the first phase. This is just for reference, I can come back to this if need be, but this is a recent survey completed by Chester Valley Engineers depicting the existing Mitzvah Circle lot and the two additional lots to the south. Just for notation, this is also depicting an existing subsurface stormwater management feature in the interior parking area. So what we're here to share tonight, it's in progress, but there's been a fair amount of effort invested in it in terms of our programming with Mitzvah Circle, in terms of Chester Valley's analysis of the site, in terms of Pannoni's analysis of traffic. So essentially, there's sort of three sort of guiding parameters, if you will, of what we're trying to achieve here. One is that all of the construction needs to occur in a phased manner that allows Mitzvah Circle, given the importance of their continued operations, to continue operating. So that has some obvious implications in terms of areas of the building and areas of the site that we can interrupt and that we cannot interrupt. A second parameter is really to leave as much of the sort of previous investment of previous phases of construction, whether it was completed by Mitzvah Circle or previous owner, items like that subsurface stormwater basin, a lot of the interior areas that have been renovated. We want to respect that investment as a nonprofit and leave those areas alone to the extent possible. And then really the third area is to add an architectural expansion that's kind of respectful of the legacy of the building. This doesn't look like a big box retailer or warehouse industrial facility. Whenever you visit Mitzvah Circle, volunteer, there's light-filled spaces. They're very enjoyable to be in. You're not in this dark warehouse, and we want to maintain that. So what's really being proposed, the annex that I mentioned, and I guess from a programming standpoint, we're trying to achieve really additional backstock area, better traffic configuration and deliveries, whether it be by volunteer drop-off or more vehicular traffic. So additional offices and additional warehouse facilities. So essentially the annex that is located here, that's a very inefficient use of the existing site configuration. The existing volumes within it aren't really well suited to Mitzvah Circle's needs. So the idea is to remove that and really construct a proper addition with a larger count of private offices that would better fulfill some of the ongoing needs of the nonprofit. We would be renovating this portion, which is adjacent to the existing loading dock, which would provide for a training room, sort of a better orientation space for the volunteers who volunteer at Mitzvah Circle, as well as some adjacent proper offices for the folks who are coordinating efforts throughout the warehouse and delivery area and such. Then really the crux of the work is really going to be an expansion that provides for, again, better drop-off deliveries of donations, as well as just more backstock area. Mitzvah Circle, because they're relying on a lot of donations, they have scenarios where they might receive a large volume of a certain type of goods that they're going to have on time for quite on hand for quite some time until they can use it. So this is really all about better serving the individuals that benefits from Mitzvah Circle's services. And then this is just a sort of enlarged view of the floor plan, illustrating a lot of the adjustments that I just mentioned. We'll have additional restrooms. We'll have better sort of security from a volunteer entrance to check in, kind of a separation and kind of sequence to your path into the facility. And then this is a conceptual rendering still in progress, but essentially this is the existing structure. So this is very much at the interior of the site. This is the existing structure that you can see these days from the public way. This is existing building that we'll be introducing a number of new window openings into, again, to get more natural light into those people spaces. Then this is the volunteer entrance and the future sort of backstock area. So I also have the civil engineer plan. And if you have any questions about what we're trying to achieve, please let me know, or we can talk a little bit about zoning.
I'm curious about the amount of impervious surface that you're adding in the parking area.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
The impervious surface in the parking area. So I've just asked him to pull back up onto the screen the overall site plan that you can see there, and you can see the sort of thick red outline. Those two where he's sort of circling, yep, right there. Those are the two additional parcels that are being added. So the idea is that we'll consolidate all three parcels into a single parcel. So we certainly will be adding impervious. We haven't done all those calculations yet. We just completed the survey. And so Jeremy's next step now will be able to take kind of Matt's layout and start putting that in. But what you can see, I think, what we spent a fair amount of time trying to make sure that we're doing is preserving. You can see circling it sort of to the, I guess it's our right, your left there. A fairly significant amount of the existing green area on those two new lots that are being added. So we're trying to balance the need of additional parking to make sure that we're providing sufficient on-site parking for all of the volunteers as well as staff, and circulation through the site in a way that's much more efficient than what's there now. We want to balance that with being able to save as much of the green as we can. So I think we're, at the end of the day, when you look at just those two parcels, we're not at, it doesn't look to me like it's 50% impervious on those two parcels, right? It's something less than that. And on the existing parcel itself, that is largely impervious as it is presently. So while there's some modifications that are made to improve some of the circulation through there, that overall impervious doesn't change by a lot either. So at the end of the day, we're pretty comfortable that we'll still be, within the realm of reasonable impervious when it comes to zoning. We just don't know the exact number yet.
Sure. But the implication is obviously the runoff whenever there's rain, and making sure that we have, adequate provision for stormwater.
Right. Well, and in addition to the zoning, this will require land development.
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
right?
I know
So,
this is way
yeah,
ahead of,
yeah.
Where we're at in this stage. So
Yeah, no, but to be clear, we're not assuming this is zoning only. This
Okay.
will certainly require land
Land
development,
development,
since
yeah.
we're adding those parcels and
Yeah.
adding impervious and recirculating or reconfiguring the site. So we'll have to work through all of that stormwater, et cetera, at that point.
The existing house that's in the purple, what's happening with that?
That is still owned by the individual that lives there. They'll continue to live there, as far as we know.
Okay.
It's not part of the project.
And then on the other side, this backs up to Pioneer, correct? The end of
A little further, if you go sort of off screen.
Yeah.
Yes, not
That's
right at
Pioneer,
this property
correct?
line. I think it's
Yeah,
Pioneer. That
okay.
sounds right. Yeah. And if you remember along Montgomery there, it's really only the sort of piece along the frontage of Mitzvah and the fire department that is fully paved. The rest of that, as you go back in through there, is really it's really a driveway that serves a couple of other houses back there. So it does not connect through to anything
Right.
else. It's a dead end back there.
is that a new cut through that would be made? Is there like, or is there a, this one that's like, I guess further, I don't know what direction that is on the map.
So if north is up and
Yeah, to the south,
south,
where,
this
yeah.
access way?
Yes, that access.
Yes.
So that would
Yes,
be a
so-
new cut.
So as currently proposed, this is essentially an exit only. So insofar as Doylestown Road is a PennDOT roadway, Pannoni, our traffic engineer, has submitted an initial scoping study to PennDOT, which is essentially the first step of a long process to receive a highway occupancy permit. Essentially, just receive initial feedback from them. The township staff and such will be copied on PennDOT's response. But the intention, part of the challenge right now is there's essentially bear with me, the existing site essentially has access off of Montgomery Avenue to this parking, and everyone's sort of entering and exiting here. While a lot of what we're trying to achieve here is based on, again, that provision of more sort of backstock, large deliveries that take a while to distribute to those in need. We're also trying to take advantage of the opportunity of these two parcels being added to the overall campus in order to provide better traffic flow in a essentially clockwise scenario. So this is all envisioned as two-way traffic, and this portion is envisioned as a single exit only vehicular passageway.
The one thing I'll note in that when we've tried to accommodate parking for Mitzvah Circle events, there is an absence of a sidewalk along, I guess it's Doylestown Road. And so it kind of stops there, and then there's the private property, and then there's the new property. So I think I've actually talked to some of our state representatives about funding and so forth on whether or not that's something that we could, but I would like to kind of, if we're going to be doing a plan, maybe we could put those things together, because I think just to have continuous walkability, bikeability access for people that, and I know people don't come to pick up their stuff there, but for volunteers within the community, it would be really great to have access walkable to Mitzvah Circle. So.
Sure, certainly something we can continue to take a look at, and we would need assistance if we're talking about the residential. Yeah, I didn't really mean my hand out. But we would need assistance in terms of getting, figuring out how and if we can do anything on that private property.
Right.
This is not our parcel. But,
Right.
Happy to work through that with everyone as we get through
Right.
it.
It's just one of we all have wish lists. That's I wish they had a part. So let's work on it.
I think one of the other things, and Matt touched on this briefly, but that this helps with is the kind of helping to separate in a better way the loading and unloading area from all of that visitor and volunteer parking and processing. I think most of you are quite familiar with the site. You volunteer there. I think a lot of you, the way that that area is back there right now. I mean, you're kind of in the loading area if you're accessing that site in any way. And this here really allows for a much cleaner loading area that, while along that circulation spine, is really well separated from the volunteer parking and folks coming in and out of the building, and starts to really clean up a lot of that as well.
I would think from a public safety standpoint too, this is, much more desirable. And you think about, the fire that was there and being able to access and have multiple access points, to get in there if, an emergency should arise. Hopefully it never arises again. But this would seem to be much more desirable in terms of the access to the facility.
Absolutely. And a new state-of-the-art building versus pole barns that, have been there for quite a while makes a huge difference in terms of safety and longevity, condition of the material, and everything that they're storing in it as well. So it's we think a win-win all around in that respect. Do you want to flip quickly to the zoning slides? We put together just a couple of slides for you to help sort of get a sense of the situation here. So this is what you're looking at now is the present zoning configuration under the zoning map. And you can see the area in red, bolded sort of in the center, is the existing Mitzvah Circle parcel. So that's entirely within an R5 district. There are other residential districts immediately around it, but just to the south on the plan, you can see both a business professional and some commercial and shopping center zoning along a little bit further down, sort of south on Doylestown Road there. So one of the things we talked about with staff when we first met was, again, this idea of the R5 district and these properties all being zoned R5 will require some level of zoning relief. The other thing that we all noticed and that staff noticed as well is that there's really not a present use in the ordinance that kind of fits this operation or really any type of operation like this. So we started talking about community service facilities and what that is, and if that's something that really should be its own definition in the ordinance, that you then could include language around in terms of impervious allowances, parking, special parking requirements, hours of operation, the other kinds of things that you want to think about perhaps when you're thinking about that type of use as something different than a traditional warehouse, something different than, some of the other commercial type uses. So we took a quick look at whether or not it made sense. Let me go a second, thank you. To look at a map amendment at all. It seemed to us that if you were going to consider a map amendment, it probably made the most sense for that to be a business professional, since there is a BP district in close proximity. We also thought, though, that if you were going to do that, you would probably want to look at not just the Mitzvah parcel, but does it make sense to include, for example, the fire department's parcel and some of the parcels further along Doylestown Road there. Whether you did entertain a map amendment or not, we would still require a text amendment or variance relief here. So the map amendment didn't necessarily seem to kind of solve the problem to us. It doesn't really in and of itself carry the day. So we started looking at what would be required, thank you, in terms of a text amendment. And again, we think that the principal consideration there would be the addition of a definition for community services facility as a use that we assumed you would want to see by conditional use or special exception rather than by right. We're always happy to take it by right if that's the preference, obviously, but certainly by conditional use or special exception would allow you to put some additional requirements in place so that you could be comfortable that you weren't opening Pandora's box, for example, and all of a sudden these things are available to be placed everywhere and anywhere. So we thought there would be some specific objective criteria that you'd want to think about around the types of warehousing, specifically tying it to accessory to the community purpose. We thought that was important because we certainly, Mitzvah doesn't have any intention of going anywhere anytime soon. But if you were but if you were to simply allow for that type of use here, and you didn't have those kind of additional protections in place, if Mitzvah did leave, arguably, could any type of warehouse come in then, which obviously is not what we think the board was intending or would be intending. So certainly something around tying that warehouse component to the community purpose. You can also start to look at things like operational hour limitations, buffering requirements, understanding we're close to residential districts here, on-site requirements versus off-site requirements for offices, training, volunteers, those types of things. So you really can start to draft into the text amendment some pretty specific objective criteria that obviously would satisfy, or Mitzvah certainly could satisfy, but that other community service facilities could satisfy as well, but would do so in a way that would kind of carve that out as a fairly niche use and not something that opens it up to a much broader interpretation. And then there's always, of course, certain, specific bulk and dimensional criteria that you could also consider, whether there's separate or different parking requirements for this type of use than there might be for other types of uses in these districts, height, coverage, impervious, et cetera, those types of things. And as we move a little further down the line in terms of the site plan here, and we're able to get you more specific answers relative to impervious needs and parking requirements and those types of things. It starts to get a little easier to draft that kind of language into a text amendment. So again, we're really here just to kind of plant that seed. We told staff we'd love to come in and first get the overall project in front of you just for some general thoughts and feedback, and then let them know if a text amendment and or map amendment or something that you're interested in or willing to consider, and we can start moving through kind of the next phase of what that might look like in terms of drafting. I know every developer says this, but they are looking to proceed fairly quickly here. There is unfortunately ever-growing need. And I think Fran will tell you, it's getting worse and worse on the regular. So the sooner that they can continue moving through this process, the better. Understanding that, you also have to make decisions that make sense for the rest of the township. And so sometimes these text amendments can take a little while.
Any thoughts or comments from the board?
I would just ask our solicitor, are there any barriers or complications that you would foresee in this? Obviously, this is a zoning hearing board issue, but also what can we do to make things easier?
Well, what she's saying is, she talked about the relief that would be required in front of the zoning hearing board, which would be quite extensive. So in doing this text amendment, essentially it's a zoning change. What you always have to look for is taking concerns, Mitzvah Circle's concerns, which I know is a great partner here in Montgomery Township, and I know the board and the general North Penn community and county community is appreciative of. We have to look closely at the law of unintended consequences, as Ms. Farrell brought up. And, God forbid, Mitzvah Circle had to leave for whatever reason. We just got to make sure that we're not opening a door for something else. It sounds like probably the easier path would be, she has done more thought about this than we have. Obviously, she would sit down with township staff. We would evaluate things. But it sounds like a text amendment would be the right way to go if the Board of Supervisors want to do that. And probably a little simpler than a map amendment, as she kind of alluded to. But yeah.
I would agree.
All right, well, is the board amenable to instructing staff to collaborate with the Mitzvah Circle consultants?
Aye.
Well, we have to have consensus.
I know, yes.
So
On board for sure.
everybody, yeah. All right, so I would say we should definitely proceed with those conversations.
Great. We really appreciate that. We'll be back before you, we hope, fairly soon. We'll reach out to Sean's office in the meantime.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
They're the most neighbors you could have. Yeah.
Moving on to agenda item 10. We have the Arbor Day proclamation. Carolyn McCreary, Township Manager.
The Shade Tree Commission sponsors an annual event to celebrate Arbor Day. This year, the Roy Rodriguez Annual Arbor Day Tree Giveaway will be held on Saturday, September 25th from 9 a.m. to noon or until supplies run out, as Ms. Staub previously said. It'll be held at our gazebo park, and there are 250 native trees will be handed out to township residents to plant. We've also been named as the 2025 Tree City USA and Growth Award recipient. This has been the 29th year that the township has been a Tree City USA recipient and the 26th year that the township has been awarded the Growth Award. $5,000 has been budgeted for this event, and now there's a chance for the board to do a proclamation for noting April 25th as our Arbor Day celebration.
Wonderful. Supervisor Camara, did you want to read the proclamation?
If everyone wants to hear it.
Absolutely.
Again, I will caution anyone coming out, get in line early. There's always people wanting their red buds and their specific trees, and the popular ones do go quickly. So get there early, rain or shine. Arbor Day Proclamation. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife, and whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products, and whereas trees in our township increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community, and whereas trees wherever they are planted are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now therefore, the Board of Supervisors of Montgomery Township, Pennsylvania, do hereby proclaim Saturday, April 25th, 2026 as Arbor Day in Montgomery Township, and we urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, we urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Dated this 25th day of April 2026. So it's a source of joy and gladden the heart.
I love Glad in the Heart.
Uh-huh.
That's my favorite.
Mhm.
Wonderful. All right, well then, let's see. I'll go ahead and make this motion. Now therefore, the Board of Supervisors of Montgomery Township, Pennsylvania, do hereby proclaim Saturday, April 25th, 2026 as Arbor Day in Montgomery Township. And we urge all citizens to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, we urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Dated this the 13th day of April 2026. Is there a second?
Second.
Any public comments? There's no public left in the room. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to agenda item 11, update on the township's grant activity. Carolyn McCreary, Township Manager.
Thank you. I thought tonight would be a good night to go over our recent grant awards as well as the ones that we're currently working on. It is grant season. A lot of the grants have a spring deadline to get into this next round of funding. Additionally, since our budget discussions in the fall, a number of residents have spoken about our fiscal stewardship and our responsibility with tax dollars. So I wanted to just give you an update this evening. So our awarded grant applications, the first one is the Power Line Trail Connector that will connect the Route 202 Parkway through the Joseph Ambler Inn property to our gazebo park, and ultimately with phase 2, hopefully connect Montgomery Township over to Horsham Township. We received $750,000 for that grant, and it was through the PennDOT Transportation Alternatives Program. The next one I wanted to talk about was the traffic signal modernization. So these were 4 traffic signals that the township had submitted an application to the Green Light Go program. It included the 2 signals at the Montgomery Mall, the signal at Horsham and Pheasant Run, and there's still money for the signal at North Wales Road and 309. You should note when we did those, we asked them to bid for black signals because we thought they were more prominent, especially with the board looking at that area before walkability and sort of trying to define, even though we're not a borough, we don't have a main street, we do have a major area in the township. And then we went so far as to ask PennDOT when they were working on 5 points to also use the mast arms and make them black as well, so that there's now like a cohesive pattern when you come through the township. We reached out to the DCNR, which is the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, and we received $250,000 for Fellowship Park improvements. That is a highlight. The board was there to do the ribbon cutting. That is not only a neighborhood park, but it is a park that people drive to. So to have the parking there is really important. But the great thing is to see grandparents walking up with their kids from the neighborhood, kids coming in on their bikes. The day we had the ribbon cutting, we had a gentleman who his wife had just left the Navy and they transferred up here to be be closer to his in-laws. And it was the first day of the park and the first day that they had moved into the neighborhood, and they came there. If you go during the week, you see the little kids in the mornings, and then you see the older kids in the afternoon after school. So we're really proud of that. The next park that we're working on is Whistle Stop Park. We've received, again, $250,000 from DCNR, as well as $125,000 from the Department of Community Economic Development. We're still working on other grant applications. That park, it's unique because it's in Hatfield Township, but it's our park. So that has worked well for us with grant applications, but because we've emphasized that it's a multi-municipal park, Hatfield Township has been very gracious and given us letters of support as well as resolutions when we needed them. We did receive a grant from the Green Light Go program for the rectangular rapid flashing beacons, commonly known as RRFB, at Upper State and Keenest Road at our park entrances and this was done primarily with PennDOT's input because the roads are so wide, especially Upper State. So we had to put the refuge island in, but to have the Spring Valley Park have safe access for the neighbors there. The nice thing about the beacons is they don't flash until someone enters the crosswalk. So it doesn't become part of the background and people are just ignoring it. We also were successful to get a grant from Montgomery County for the Stump Road RRFB and sidewalk project. And if you go up Stump Road, you'll see the sidewalks are in place now and the rec center driveway is reopened. The next step will be to put the beacon in. And as soon as we find out that the poles are in place, that they're on order and that they're here, that will happen next. We also applied for a DCED multimodal transportation program grant. This is for the English Village Gwinnett Crossing traffic signal modernization, which will include dedicated left turn lanes coming out of each shopping center, which has been something that has been much needed there. It results in not only people getting stuck at the light, but traffic backing up into both shopping centers. While English Village is in Horsham Township, Gwinnett Crossing is in Montgomery, so we will be sharing the residual cost after the grant with Horsham Township, which for a close to $700,000 project, each of us will probably pay about $32,000. So the money has to go somewhere, so it might as well come to us. So with those grants in the last 5 years, they total about $2.8 million that we've received. And I just want to close by talking about the ones that we're currently working on. So I applied for a Montco 2040 implementation grant. This is to meet, so they do a comprehensive plan. Right now we're working on Montco 2040. They're taking input actually already for Montco 2050, and this is for Whistle Stop Park. Traditionally, the grant is $250,000, but because again, this is a multi-municipal project, we requested the $350,000, and Hatfield Township was gracious enough, their board, to give us a resolution supporting the program and the project. We applied to the Green Light Go program for the traffic signal modernization at Cowpath, Taylor, and Lansdale Avenue, which is
That's well needed.
yes, it's well needed, absolutely. But we had, believe it or not, we had priorities that went above that one. So now we're there, and we're hopeful that this one will be as successful as our other two have been. We just recently worked on the DCNR Community Conservation Partnership Program application for Autumn Woods Playground improvements. We're requesting $250,000. That grant is due April 30th. And then we'll be notified in the fall whether we're successful or not. And if we're successful, we'll budget the project into 2027's budget, our capital investment program, and then our match for the grant, as well as whatever we would have to spend. And then finally, for the first time, we have requested congressionally directed spending. The Knapp Road culverts, as you know, they are in dire need of replacement. We have bought ourselves some time by reducing the weight limit on them. There is one in Lansdale Borough and one in Montgomery Township. They're now estimating currently that it would cost about $2.4 million, which we have requested. So we sent the request into Congressman Fitzpatrick's office, Senator Fetterman's office, and Senator McCormick's office. We had a very tight window, and I have to thank our partners, Senator Colette's office, Representative Malagari, Representative Serrato, and the North Penn School District all received requests for letters of support and got them to us in record time. So we were able to get everything uploaded into the federal program, and now we wait and hope for the best.
Fingers crossed on that.
Yeah, fingers crossed. That is a big lift, especially even sharing it with Lansdale. That's a big lift, and that's current cost. And as you know, unfortunately, sometimes what we bid today or what we think an opinion of probable cost is today, a year and a half from now could be very different. So if we can get any federal money, it'd really be appreciated. And I'm told that the project met all the criteria in the one program. So you're right, fingers crossed. Yeah.
Toast.
Any questions?
Great job.
Thank you. for the
Thank you.
update.
Thank you. Right. Moving on to agenda item 12. Adoption of updated township purchasing policy. Blaine Berge, Director of Finance.
So the purpose of the policy update is to streamline the current policy, which was last updated in September of 2020, to clarify and separate the sections on purchase orders and bidding thresholds specifically, and to update the bidding thresholds. So there's a list following the board action summary, I guess. There's a more specific list of all the changes that were made. There just seemed to be a lot of confusion about it. It was 10 pages. So this streamlines it. The old policy kind of had the purchase order policy and the bidding thresholds mixed in together. This separates the two, and I think clarifies it a little bit. And simplifies the approval process a little bit. It takes me out of the approval process because I approve invoices anyway. So kind of streamlines that process as well.
Thank you, Blaine.
So staff recommends the Board of Supervisors approve the update to the purchasing policy.
I have a question on the changing the dollar limit, the 13,000 to 24,000 to 3 written or telephonic quotes. Would that hurt us? Are people more serious about their bids when they have to put it in writing and know that it's going to be at a bid opening? Like, so could that end up costing us more money if they just think, oh, I'll send over my written quote without it being a formal bid?
So there's always a chance of that, but this is required by the state, so we don't have a choice. These thresholds are adjusted by the state each year. It used to be static, so they had a number that had just it just made no sense. It had us almost going out for public bid for everything we purchased. So then they've adjusted it so that every year it moves with the cost of living. We find that because we're very careful with what we do, and we have a lot of vendors who recognize that when we put something out, we're serious. The last few bids we've had have been, we've had multiple responses. So I think we're situated well there. We can't take, even if we wanted to, the struggle with bidding is that we know there's certain vendors that we deal with that give us really good pricing. But the flip side of that is there could be a community that deals with a vendor who doesn't give them good pricing, but because it's a vendor they know, they just always use them. This protects the taxpayers from that. So as much as we wish we could say, look, we know the best person for this particular type of work is company A, we have to put it out for public bid, and it's determined by the state. So to your point, we always think that the sooner we go out to bid, the better, especially whether we're getting quotes or bids, because in a new year, a company doesn't know what kind of business they're going to have. So they sharpen their pencils, we get good pricing, and that's been evidenced by the recent purchases that we've made in the last couple meetings.
So it's the state changing this?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Hearing none. I'll move to approve the update to the purchasing policy effective immediately.
Second.
Any public comment? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Moving on to Public Works. Agenda item 13, request authorization to purchase a 2026 Polaris Ranger UTV. Greg Reif, Public Works Director.
Good evening. In 2026, the Public Works Department is scheduled to purchase a UTV to assist with maintenance in parks and trail systems in areas where larger vehicles and equipment have limited access. Assist with snow removal on the trail system and save rental fees during community events. Staff is proposing to purchase one 2026 Polaris Ranger XP 1000 UTV as approved in the 2026 capital investment plan. Attached is a quote dated March 12th of 2026 from Trumbauer's Motorsports, an authorized vendor under the Sourcewell purchasing program to provide the requested equipment, at a total cost of $37,043.01. The equipment meets the specifications prepared by the department. A total of $42,000 was included in the 2026 capital investment plan to purchase a 2026 Polaris Ranger XP 1000. So the recommendation, it would be our recommendation for the Board of Supervisors to approve the purchase per the 2026 capital investment plan.
Thank you, Greg. Any questions from the board? It's nice that it came in under budget. Another one. Great job. All right, I'll move to approve the purchase of one 2026 Polaris Ranger XP 1000 UTV from Trumbauer's Motorsports, an authorized vendor under the Sourcewell contract 091024-PSI purchasing program at a total cost of $37,043.01 per their quote dated March 12th, 2026. Any public comment? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Agenda item 14, request authorization to purchase replacement front runner mower. Greg Rafe, Public Works Director.
In 2026, the Public Works Department is scheduled to replace the 1996 John Deere 1145 mower. Staff is proposing to purchase one Kubota 3710 front runner mower as approved in the 2026 capital investment plan. The 1996 John Deere 1145 will be sold on municipal bid following the delivery of the new front runner mower. Attached is a quote dated February 4th of 2026 from Eagle Power Kubota, an authorized vendor under the Sourcewell contract purchasing program to provide the requested equipment at a total cost of $45,783.41. The equipment meets the specifications prepared by the department. A total of $52,000 is included in the 2026 capital investment plan to purchase a front runner mower. It is recommended the Board of Supervisors approves the purchase per the 2026 capital investment plan.
Any questions or comment from the board?
Have we had that John Deere mower since 1996?
Yes, we have.
30 years?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's held up, and
Apparently.
it also helps us with the snow removal on our sidewalks. We have over 20 miles of sidewalks, so that's why this machine's being also put into account.
Also under budget. Good job.
Beat me to it. Any other questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion to approve the purchase of one Kubota F3710 model V1505 CR TE5F1 front runner mower from Eagle Power Kubota, an authorized vendor under the Sourcewell contract 112624 KVA purchase program at a total cost of $45,783.41 per their quote dated February 4th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Any public comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Agenda item 15, request authorization to purchase ductless split HVAC system for police department lobby. Greg, you're up again.
In 2026, the Public Works Department is scheduled to purchase one Mitsubishi ductless split HVAC system to be installed in the police department lobby. Currently, there is no air conditioning in the lobby and large amount of glass, making it extremely hot in the summer and extra cold in the winter, causing unnecessary stress on the rooftop heating unit. Attached is a quote dated March 30th of 2026 from Scatton's Heating and Cooling Incorporated to provide the requested equipment at a total of $7,122. The equipment meets the specifications prepared by the department. The total of $7,500 is included in the 2026 capital investment plan. It would be our recommendation for the Board of Supervisors to approve the purchase per the 2026 capital investment plan.
Comments or questions from the board? All right, hearing none, I'll move to approve the purchase of one Mitsubishi ductless split HVAC system from Scatton's Heating and Cooling at a total cost of $7,122 per their quote dated March 30th, 2026.
Second.
Any public comment? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. And it was under budget. And agenda item 16, consider authorization for the sale of municipal equipment by online auction. Greg, you're up again.
The township by resolution is authorized to dispose of surplus assets through Municipid, an online auction company. Municipid has a consignment fee of 10% that is charged to the buyer and no charge to the seller. The administration of the bid will be handled by township staff. The township will have to meet the advertisement requirements as outlined in the second-class township municipal code. The items being proposed for sale are noted on the attached list. The funds that the township receives for the sale of these items will be placed in the capital reserves. So our recommendation would be for the Board of Supervisors to authorize the sale of the listed items. Once the bids are awarded, the board will need to pass a resolution authorizing the sale.
Any comments or questions from the board? Hearing none. I'll entertain a motion to authorize the sale of the attached list of equipment through the online auction company Municipid.
So moved.
Second.
Any public comment? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Motion carries. All right, moving on to old business. Then item 17 is updating the guidelines established for the Board of Supervisors public meetings. Carolyn McCreary, Township Manager.
At the March 23rd public meeting, the board discussed revising the resolution which establishes guidelines for participation in public meetings. Although no major changes were recommended, there were a few updates that are needed to reflect the current changes to the law regarding public comment. In addition, a limit of 3 minutes was updated for each public comment, and it was noted that the meetings are now live streamed and recorded for replay on the township's YouTube channel. So in the past, we had said that a resident who came up should give their address. That is no longer required. If they choose to give it, they can, but we just ask, are they a resident or a business owner in the township? We're no longer just using cable television for our meetings. We are live streaming them and they're on our YouTube channel. So that's also on there. And then in looking at the other municipalities as well as the school district, 3 minutes does seem to be the general term for public comment. So it was also included in this resolution.
This makes us more consistent with other municipalities as well as the school district in terms of the length of the time allotted for public comment. Any comments or questions from the board? No? Okay.
I'm just gonna, I hear that the school board and other places are changing it to 3 minutes. I'm not a fan of that. I just think that people that voted us all up here should have their 5 minutes if they want that.
I'm not opposed to that. I want to keep it at 5 minutes. If we put it at 3 minutes, are we holding people to that?
I think it sends a bad message that we're just trying to limit them.
Mm-hmm.
I think that 3 minutes is very generous and that we've always had a history of being generous with people as they're coming and making public comment. But in a situation where we have, a room full of people who are all waiting to speak on a topic, that this would definitely be advantageous. So it would not, it wouldn't be, and I think you can say a lot in 3 minutes for that matter. I don't see this as impeding in any way anyone's opportunity to, have their say and have their voice heard.
Have we ever put out to residents that that's what the rules for public comment are? So they come prepared to be speaking for 3 minutes?
Yes.
It's on the legend in the back with the agenda.
Yeah.
But before people come to the meeting, do they know that that's the case? To prepare their public comment before they show up. So if they're prepared to speak within that
It
3
could always
minutes time.
be added to the meeting summary. So when we announce that public comment is open, we can say that public comment, please state if you're a business owner or a resident and limit your remarks to 3 minutes. That's certainly, we can make that a standard summary for every meeting going forward, if that's the board's direction.
That makes sense.
So people are prepared to come and speak for the 3 minutes. Makes them more concise.
Sets expectations, I think. I think that's a
I
good
th-
idea.
I think as long as they are prepared to do so and have their prepared speech concise, they should be able to say their piece within a few minutes. And I don't think I mean, I've been here when they've gone beyond 5. So, and sometimes they're just repeating themselves. So I just want to make sure that we're not disallowing anyone to have their say, but also allowing people to be a little bit more concise.
I like what Eric said. I do think it should be just now part of our public comment section to say,
Yep.
This is the amount of time, because I don't know that we've ever actually done that. And I know last year before, I'm often like, is it 5 minutes? Is it 3 minutes?
Yeah.
I'm always saying.
We're not even sure what it is
Yeah.
ourselves.
Right.
So honestly, I can go. I have to agree with Tanya. You could say a lot in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
You could say a lot in 5 minutes.
Mhm.
Usually, we are pretty good at letting someone kind of go a little over if they need to for whatever reason. But I do think we need to also start really paying attention to it.
Right.
I mean, I do think that because it's one of those things where we have to promote consistency. So if we are going to really cut someone at 3 minutes or 5 minutes, whatever it is, then we need to make sure we do that with everyone.
Can we get a timer? I'm sorry.
So that's
I
just
didn't
what
mean to cut you off.
I was just getting ready to say. If there's anything that we can, have like a little
So we've
stopwatch or something.
we've discussed this. There are some communities that have a clock in
Have
the
it in the
back for
back,
you to
right.
see, and then
That's
there's also
exactly.
something up there for the resident to see. There's also something we looked at putting here, but we don't want something that beeps when it's the 3 minutes are up, but something that could just go down to 0 and then be reset again. So
It
Or an
changes-
hourglass with
sometimes
sand. Don't they have those? That
it
just-
changes color so people know you're getting close and now you're done.
But I think the question though at hand is, do we leave it at 5 or go to 3? I'm good either way, to be quite honest, because it doesn't matter to me. I don't want it to be perceived as us now trying to make anyone feel like, we don't want to hear what they have to say.
Yeah, I don't think that's the intent at all. It's
Oh,
just,
no, I know that's not the intent. I just don't want it to come
And,
across that
and
way.
again, I think in the execution, if we have the timer, that'll help, but we can also be generous. If, we feel like someone has, more to say, we can extend time as necessary, if it's necessary, on occasion. Okay, well, then I will move to adopt resolution number 2026-07, updating the guidelines established for the Board of Supervisors public meetings. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Nay.
opposed? One opposed. Motion carries. All right, and also under old business, we have an update on approved voting district changes. Beth Staub, Vice Chairwoman.
So anyone that's lived in our township for any number of years, which I have for almost 30 years, when you go to vote at our one of 8 precincts, some of us stand in line longer than others, which has always been a frustration for me, even long before I was involved with the township as a supervisor. So this is not a political statement whatsoever, but I did notice when I was in line at Bridle Path Elementary, which hosts both precincts 1 and 3, that people knew themselves as, are you in the short line or the long line? And I thought, well, why do we have a short line and a long line? And I believe the same thing is true at Montgomery Elementary between 2 and 7. 5 and 6 is usually pretty even, Stephen. But when you look at the number of people that are registered at different precincts, typically voter services would like to keep it, historically, it was about 1,500. They've kind of gone up to about 2,500 is now that we have mail-in voting. Well, 3 of our districts, 3, 7, and 8, were almost at or beyond 5,000. So this is well beyond what this was. So then the question being, what should we do about this? And to be honest, this was long overdue. And a lot of people weren't sure how to handle it because it doesn't often take place where population expands as quickly as it has here in Montgomery Township. So about February of last year, I began the conversation with voter services and with the township about what are the steps that need to be taken. We have done that by getting data from voter services about exactly where do our voters live. It has nothing to do with how they're registered in terms of political party, but just the sheer number. It reflects exactly what our experience has been in terms of long lines. And for that reason, we went to get petitions from people in both exactly the same number of political parties and also independents to agree that this is something that is a problem within precincts, districts 3, 7, and 8. Then it was brought through Kilkenny law to actually have a hearing that a judge had to approve this, and actually, for that matter, just the voter services had to agree that this was something that was actually needed, and they fully agreed. So with that, we went a couple of weeks ago. We went to Norristown, went to the courthouse. There was a hearing to make precincts 3 split in half, essentially 7.5 and 8.5. So the precincts now will be 3-1 and 3-2, still voting at Bridle Path Elementary. Precinct 7 will become 7-1 and 7-2 at Montgomery Elementary, still voting in the same place. And then precinct 8 will become precincts 8 and 9 because we have some flexibility on the outside of our districts. And we cut them right along North Wales Road in District 3 and along Stump Road in both 7 and 8. So this was something that was presented, approved, and will be taking effect at the general election in November. So this will not affect the primary, but we will be taking it very seriously to let our voters know that when they arrive at the same voting places in November, that there will be an additional line now, making their line shorter. There will be more what we used to have as books, and that's a whole nother story. But the way that people sign in for voting will make it go faster, twice as fast, essentially. And hopefully this will make equity within the voting precincts. So this was, again, not a political effort. It was an effort of efficiency on voting day and to make all voters have access to this without having to wait for hours to vote. That's the essential outcome on this. So no funny business.
Wonderful.
Just one comment, one question. You said it for the first 2, but for 8, that's now becoming 8 and 9, they too will stay at their
Correct. They will
location.
also stay at the rec
The
center
rec
as
center.
always. Yes.
And that was the comment. And then the question is, how will the voters find out where their change is?
So over the next, after the primary, once we get through the primary, we won't confuse people ahead of that. We will take time to make sure that we have information going out to the public via our usual e-news. Voter services will probably take a hack at this as well. Yeah.
Anytime there's a voter change in the county, they notify.
Yes. And then, of course, probably the most activity will be on election day. We will be doing, as we always are, directing people to go to the right lines. But it shouldn't be any effort other than making sure we have people knowing where they are. And because it's just one street, are you on this side or this side? We also have different ways of information directing to direct people. Lots of signs, I'm sure.
Yeah. And I asked the question because it did get asked of me. So I wanted to kind of get it out there in public record that yes, we will have, of course, we know we'll be directing where we can, but that voter services will probably, will be sending out information so people are aware of their change.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions?
I just wanted to say that Supervisor Staub and Supervisor Ware Jones, I know that you both worked on this last
And
year.
Pelletier,
And well,
he was an auditor then.
okay, but the point is that you really championed this, and it was not easy. The information was difficult to track down in terms of the actual procedure involved in affecting this change, and I know that was sort of a heavy lift. Primarily for you, but also Supervisor Ware Jones, and I just want to applaud you for this effort to help make this process easier ultimately for the residents of Montgomery Township. So thank you.
You're very welcome. And again, this is the kind of the voter guides that have always been made available. We'll be updating this again after the primary, so that we can, again, this is just one of the ways that we map out where the voting places to, again, the places will still say, just to be a different line at that place, a shorter line, which is the goal.
We're also going to be putting out another township newsletter this year, and again after the primary election, but this will also be highlighted in that communication piece that will be direct mailed to all of our residents.
Excellent.
Any other comments or questions? No? Thank you very much for that update. Agenda item 19 is a resolution supporting DCNR grant application Autumn Woods Playground Improvements. Carolyn McCurry, Township Manager.
The next round of applications for the DCNR Community Conservation Partnership Program is open, and the applications are due April 30th. We have successfully applied for grants in this program for both Fellowship and Whistle Stop Parks, and we're now seeking board support to submit an application for playground improvements at Autumn Woods Park. The estimated cost of the project is $324,908, and the grant we are seeking is $250,000, which would leave $74,908 as our township match. And if awarded, this project would then be included in the 2027 budget. Staff is respectfully requesting the board adopt the resolution to support the grant application.
Thank you, Carolyn. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, I'll move to adopt resolution number 2026-08. Supporting Montgomery Township's DCNR grant application for the Autumn Woods Playground Improvement Project. Is there a second?
Second.
Any public comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And we were able to get the grant resolution printed this afternoon. The portal opened up again, so I'll have it for your signature, Ms. Bamford.
Oh, fantastic. All right. If there's no other business to come before the board,
Did we want to discuss, I don't know how we do this, to put together a letter to support North Wales Area Library being our library? Did we have to do that?
oh,
Or how
That
does
would have to
work?
go on an agenda.
it's not
Okay.
on the agenda and we have to advertise.
Okay, so
So, we'll take that
If
under
that's the
advisement.
consensus of the board, we can put it on an upcoming agenda.
We said that.
Yes.
Yeah. 100%.
Okay, yes.
thank you.
Okay. If there's no other business to come before the board at this point, any other?
Nope, I'm good.
Nothing? You're good. All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Any public comment? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you.